being involved in that skirmish or engagement would be something that is permissible. This ruling or this situation, it would revolve around entirely, right? If you remove the Muslims from it, and not because Muslims cannot be held to account, right? That's not what I'm saying. Are there some Muslims who are terrorists? Are there Muslims who are thieves? Are there Muslims who incite in hurt other people? Yeah, absolutely, right? Just like there are from any religion or any group of people. But that is something that needs to be dealt with internally. So when you have, for example, Abu Bakr, radiallahu anh, the first years of his khilafah, right? He was only khalifa for 2.5 years. He's the one that initiated the Hurub Ridda. He's the one that initiated the apostasy wars because some of them were Muslim and they refused to pay zakat. Ali radiallahu anh, when he engaged in the civil war. So it's not like Muslims cannot hold each other to account, or it ever gets to a point where there's any type of capital punishment, or there's even a state where individuals have to go to, where the state has to go to war. That doesn't mean that this can't happen. But can we support an outside force against Muslims for that? No. And the reason for that is because there's this group is not going to hold the sanctity of the blood in the same regard. Very, very simply. When we talk about nation states, the highest ideology within a nation state, whether it be America or Canada or England or France or whatever the case might be, the highest ideology for them, for people who participate in these campaigns, is going to be the spreading of the ideology or the political ideology of whatever that country might be. So here in the United States, the ideology that they say when they enter into countries, when they declare war on countries, is they say that they are spreading democracy, right? Because that is the utmost ideology that is meant to be preserved. And that is the quote unquote, I don't want to call it religion because it's not, but this is the ideology that wants to be pushed forward. Even when the Muslim empire was expanding, what ideology did they use to expand? Islam, right? So there are different ways and different terms. Like when it comes to the issue of war, people will use different vehicles. People will use different means in order to push that concept of war forward. In Islam, we call it jihad, and there is a very strong political connotation that is associated with that. And not just that, jihad is something that is done on the state level. It is impermissible to do it on the individual level. And on the individual level, when it is done, it's a personal striving, right? It's what my intention is and what I'm supposed to do. But when we talk about the state level, this is something where you're talking about political affiliations. This is where you're talking about soldiers. This is where you're talking about rules of conduct and rules of engagement. And these things, yes, governance is a part of Islam. There's no doubt about that. And I know that there are many individuals who do attack Islam, saying that Islam was spread by the sword. Well, it depends on what that means. If we say Islam was spread by the sword, that it forced people to convert to Islam, absolutely not. There's nobody was forced to convert. And there might be individual cases where this happened, but it did not happen en masse. And the reason I say that is because when people are forced to do something, and once that rule is lifted, what happens? They go back, right? They usually revert back to what it was that whatever religion or belief they were on before. The opposite happened with Islam. So you do have the greatest military expansion. There's no doubt about that. So if we say Islam was spread by the sword in terms of battles and wars, yeah, absolutely. I'm not here to deny that. If you look through our history, you will find that there are a series of battles and series of wars that happened one after another. But that's not the question that needs to be focused on. The question that actually needs to be focused on is what happened to the conquered people. Right? This is something that is not addressed. Even people who, so you're talking about groups of people who had normally been disenfranchised before Islam, women, slaves, people from other races and colors and ethnicities. These individuals, like subhanAllah, Islam is the only religion where you will find that with the spread of the religion, people from outside of it who are not native to it. The native religion to Islam, or the native people to Islam initially were who? What race were they? What ethnicity? They were Arab, right? Initially they were Arab. But from the imams that came within a generation, so it's not even that long, within 100 years of the spread of Islam, this is the only religion where you will find religious leaders who are from outside of the native people that it came from. From them, Imam Bukhari, he was not Arab. Abu Hanifa, not Arab. Ghazali, not Arab, right? None of these people were Arab, but they became reference points for us now. Like this is something our entire ummah, our entire nation has accepted, that when we look back, and even though it was spread by war, what happened to the conquered people? They were uplifted and empowered. And I'm not talking about they were given social or political position. No, this is something that is uniquely Islamic. They were given religious position to the point where when we address these people, we call them imam. Think about that. We call these people a'imma because of the amount of respect that we hold for them. And you will find wherever Islam spreads in the world today, whether it be in Malaysia, whether it be in the subcontinent, whether it be within the Arab world, whether it be in Africa, or here, whether it be in the United States, we don't hold our political figures highly. We don't. Like, and why? Because politicians in general are all crooks, right? But we hold our religious figures extremely highly. And it doesn't matter where they're from. Even the Muslim speakers that we have and that we know that are famous, why did they become famous? Because of their knowledge of deen. And it doesn't matter where in the world that you go and where that you look, the people who ideally should be respected are the clergy, are the people who represent that religion. But this is not something that you find common in other faiths and in other traditions. This is what Islam does to conquer people. It empowers them and it raises them. It doesn't put them down, it doesn't enslave them, it doesn't oppress them. And that is one of the beauties of our religion. And this gives the universality of it. And if you want to talk about even politically, who amongst the Muslim people didn't have a khilafah? Like, who didn't? You want to talk about, even from a political standpoint. If you want to talk about the Zanjiq, or you want to talk about the Ghaznawis, or you want to talk about, all the Abbasis, the Turks had one, like with the Uthmanis, the Kurds had their own like when, Salahuddin, Kurdi. There is no group of people that didn't have even political status within the religion, subhanAllah. That is what Islam does. That is what it does. And the rules of engagement that we have are some of the most precise rules of engagement that any culture has come with. People talk about the Geneva Conventions and like how all these people had to come together. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just had to tell us one time that this is how you deal and this is how you act when you are in engagement, and we acted upon. Walillahi alhamd. Does it mean that there are some times that there was oppression and people were hurt and things that shouldn't have happened? Yes, it does. Our history is human, right? It's not a perfect history, it's a human history. But compared what happens under Islamic regimes or under Muslim regimes versus what happened in others. Do we have the same genocides that happened like in World War I, World War II, or what happened in Russia, what happened between China and Japan? Like we walillahi alhamd, walillahi alhamd, and this is from the blessing of Islam, is that we do not share that type of history. We don't have mass genocides like they show in their cultures and their religions and their ideologies. People would look forward to the conquest of the Muslims. It's very unfortunate that we are in the state that we're in today, even though we have the truth, we have the intellectual capacity, we have the financial capacity, and we have the human resources and manpower to do it. The only thing that is stopping us, and I promise you this, and I'm telling you this now, the only thing that is stopping us is us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا